It's that time on a Thursday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to iRacing for another edition of GT3 Thursdays and iRacing Thursdays here on America's Racing League. My name's Jack Mays, your broadcaster this evening, your generally qualified gentleman to talk about race cars and what race cars are doing on any given circuit on any given night. And tonight, it's a stunner of a circuit. There's really not much more to say about it. It is Road America, a truly stunning course. I think a general favorite across the suite of American endurance circuits that are around. It is 14 corners of some absolutely brilliant stuff, and I think it will treat us to some absolutely brilliant racing once we get underway in a couple of minutes. We are already a few minutes into qualifying. It's a 10-minute single qualifying session for all of our drivers, followed by the 1 hour long sprint race with the unique addition of 55% maximum fuel for all these cars. So pit stops are not necessarily mandatory, but well, if you want to finish the race you started, you better go in for at least a splash of fuel. And before I forget, I want to say a special shout out to the Drive-Thru Club sim racing team for sponsoring this week's broadcast, as well as well, they're sponsoring the next 2 races. So thank you to them. They're the reason I'm here tonight, and they're the reason that you may be seeing pretty pictures on your screen. So, one moment. Noticing a bit of an issue here. Why is it? What's happening? Nope, we're good. Sorry about that. I thought everything broke momentarily, but no, we're good. I was getting the absolute devious fake out from YouTube. It was showing me that I wasn't seeing what we're currently looking at, and I wasn't being transmitted, but fortunately I am. We're all good. I'm back. I wasn't phased at all. But anyways, on to back to what I was saying, and I will shout them out again in a hopefully less awkward fashion to the Drive-Thru Club for sponsoring the next 2 race broadcasts. So thank you to them. I am here, and unfortunately, I am alone this evening. None of my European friends were able to make it out this evening, though no shade on them because they're basically staying up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning for these races. So it is a great treat when they are here, but unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you feel, it is just me this evening. And as we get into qualifying, I'm realizing that, well, let's just say the laps are not on screen. So there they are. Perfectly executed. We do have, I believe, about 16 drivers joining us this evening. Lap times are all coming in one after the other. This man that we are on board with now, James O'Brien, is the man on provisional pole position. Everybody chasing that 202.59 that has been put down by the AMG driver. A car that is seldom seen and seldom donned with anime waifus, at least so far this series, has been the Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT3. Good to see it, and always it's a reasonable field spread of cars, sprinklings of Mercedes, lots of Mustangs. That makes my good friend Ted Edwards happy, but definitely a good mix so far. It's always good to see 4 cars in the top 4, all in different manufacturers, as Anne-Marie De Pasquale goes up to provisional pole with 3 minutes remaining. A couple drivers still trying to chase those honors. And now what I'm hoping for, and what I'm going to try to execute, though I have no real way of doing it, is it would be wonderful to find somebody who who's just about to start or just about to finish a lap. Well, it seems that very few drivers are actually out on circuit right now. Maybe they are finishing up their qualifying. Perhaps they are done. I know it is 4 timed laps, so perhaps they hit their 4 timers and are now awaiting the race start. So those who are on circuit and those who are still awaiting to put down a lap time, such as Leon Vallejo, Gonzalez, who we're on board with right now, has yet to put in a lap time on the board. Therefore, is invisible, but is ringing out the Porsche through the kink a bit too quick for sure for him. And round he goes, and not putting on the board at that point, and pretty much dashing all hopes of being able to put one down. Leon Vallejo is in a bit of a bad way, shall we say. Here's Stefano Zanatti, the Italian stallion, in the Corvette, coming around the final corner of turn 14. And we're going to see what his lap time is going to be. Zanatti having not set a time yet. And, well, unfortunately for him, that one wasn't valid. But he does have the opportunity to do another one, as we will sort of do a semi-ride-along here for a full lap, because I just love this circuit. I love talking about it, give you a good idea of what's to come. If you're unfamiliar with Road America, that was the first 3 corners, which pretty much boils down to 2. And the long straight towards turn 5, which is a downhill braking zone, but you can just hit the brakes super late. Zanatti hitting it at the 290 left here. You don't want to drift too wide. There's a bit of gravel on the exit that'll catch you out. This is what I like to call Corvette corner. Turn 6 was that big Corvette gantry there. One of the trickiest corners on the circuit. An uphill braking zone and then crests. It's sort of tricky to get the car squared up. Turn 7, very fast. Another downhill braking zone into turn 8. Super late. Tricky to spot your braking point as we head down to turn 9 and turn 10, the carousel. Heavy commitment, all about bravery and all about throttle control. But as with iRacing, that I have forgotten, I'm a newbie to iRacing, what can I say? It ends up being that as soon as the timer's done, that's it. You do not get to continue that lap time. So apologies about that. Maybe a bit of a I don't really know what to call that. A bit of a blue ball scenario for the Road America enjoyers, but it is Sam Trotter in the Aston Martin who took pole at the end of the session. Anne-Marie De Pasquale joining on the front row. I think for maybe the second or third time this season. The Red Bull Racing Esports driver just sort of always 1 step, 2 steps below pole position, and maybe a good start could be the conversion that they are looking for as they're waiting to get underway. Everybody's gritting up. James O'Brien, who we saw earlier on, who was keeping us company through all the shenanigans, all of my personal shenanigans, is starting 3rd. Nick Dawson-Lathan in 4th. Michael Hickman in 5th. Piotr, we're just not even going to try to say his last name. If Kevin was here, he could try to give it a shot, but I won't even give it a chance. Stan Padarakis in 7th, Paul O'Malley 8th, Javi Sanabria in 10th, David DeLeon in 10th, Marcus Taylor 11th, Henry Velez Jr. 12th, Rigo Campos in 13th, Devon Strauch in 14th, and Stefano Zanatti, Daniel Kent, Leon Vallejo, and Alex Ravinsky 15th through 18th, having not set a valid time. Everybody's gridded up. They should start rolling any second now. We should begin to see a couple of corners of preparation, followed by an hour of speed and power. Immediately into a deep weave for every driver. They're just trying to put as much heat into their tire before they get underway. Maybe doing a bit of brake dragging as well. These kinds of things are super important, because you're already going to be put off into turn one. You're going sort of a slower speed. It's trickier to pick your braking point, and any extra temp you have could mean the difference between, shall we say, life or death in the race. Safety car should be pulling in any second. That leaves Sam Trotter up to decide when this race goes underway. Is he going to wait till it's up the hill? He is controlling the pace. He's going to go for it right now. Just as they get to the crest, it is a great start for Sam Trotter, and an equally good start for a couple other cars. We'll see how the Ford's doing in the background, already sort of trying to find space at the inside of turn one. Anne-Marie is there or thereabouts with Sam Trotter, is past him, and fortunately the circuit comes back the other way. It's Anne-Marie De Pasquale up to first in the first couple of corners and off to the races immediately. But now the long straight down towards turn 5. Maybe the Ford driver's at a bit of a disadvantage, but no, it's such a good solid gap coming out into the field. Just in the background, it's the Ford of Henry Velez and David DeLeon, who are going to get a little bit spicy. I gotta say, Sam Trotter not off to the start that he would have wanted as the pole sitter, but an excellent start. Oh, here's the McLaren of Michael Hickman, maybe having a look on James O'Brien. O'Brien looking a little put off by that, having a little bit of a wiggle, but no, it's the McLaren going off into the gravel momentarily at turn 7. Sort of trying to find a way to drop back in, finding a location to hold firm. Stefano Zanotti and Marcus Taylor are thinking about it too wide, but Zanotti drops back behind the BMW. They're now heading in towards the kink at turn 11. A full commitment corner. You really don't want to be side by side, but it looks like everybody has sort of found their way. But no, it's Anne-Marie De Pasquale who has made a mistake in the kink and has dropped way back. And it looks like a bit of damage there on the back of the Mustang. We'll get a replay of that up in just a second. I do want to see that car not moving very quickly. I think Anne-Marie is going to begin to roll back towards pit lane, but Sam Trotter, right place, right time. You know, I think it was an accident between Nick Dawson in the Corvette and Anne-Marie Pasquale, because they were going quickly, and that's resulted in Sam Trotter running back up to P1 there, warming their tires. And we're going to see what happened just a moment ago with Anne-Marie. Go back towards the kink. She was leading, perfectly comfortable into it. Turns in, everything's fine. Oh, the rear sort of starts to swap ends and tries to sort of stay in it, but tags the Corvette. Then cause some immediate wheel damage to, oh man, to Nick Dawson. So they're both sort of out of it to begin with. As we go back to the live pictures, it's Hickman down the inside of Paul O'Malley into turn 5. But man, that is so unfortunate for Anne-Marie. It was a really stellar start, and you know, as I was getting ready to say, the kink is a full commitment corner, but it is super sketchy and sort of lower downforce machinery. Usually people are like, GT3s, they got a lot of downforce, right? But once you start driving LMP2s, once you start driving GTPs, you realize, they're lacking in the downforce, because a lot of those cars can take the kink no problem. But it is a disaster start for Anne-Marie De Pasquale and Nick Dawson, who was just, well, he was kind of collected just a bit. Unfortunately, they should have a fast repair and are already underway. But the man who started on pole, I have to say, it's really come back good. Had a poor start, but fortunately stayed out of the melee and now has a proper gap up towards the 2.5 seconds, 2 by 2. Javi Sanabria there, sort of getting pushed to the wrong side of the circuit by the BMW, asserting positions as best as they can. They're going to be one after the other, a 5-long train of cars that are being led by Henry Velez in the Mustang. That BMW looking quick, going down the inside into turn 1 on Javier. And he's through pretty cleanly. There's a lot of dirt and dust and now gravel all over the circuit. There's Stefano Zanatti looking for it, but not finding their way through on Javi. I realize I've been saying Javier. It's Javi, but I feel like it is Javier. I don't know. We're gonna stick with either one, and hopefully I'm not wrong. Here's Devin Strauss in the Porsche. Do you have the legs? Do you have the brakes into turn 5? Not quite. A more narrow line from Zanatti, though. And they're looking hungry to make a move, and they have a mistake from the Mercedes ahead, and they jumped up a position. The fight for second place is starting to begin. James O'Brien leads Michael Hickman, who leads Piotr. Piotr, though, last week out at Mosport, Canyon Tower Motorsport Park, didn't qualify, tried to run through the field, had a bit of a rough go of it, but now showing what they can do at the top of the field. They were very quick last week, so we'll see. And we will see what O'Brien can do as he leads this field. Michael Hickman looking very hungry. Maybe an opportunity here in the final corner. No. Stays, waits behind. It is a tactical move because this long straight, you'll have the benefit of the slipstream. So you sort of get to control where the overtake is made. Already going to the inside here. Side by side between the pair. It is going to be a late breaking battle. Sam Trotter loving this. He's able to really stretch his legs, and it's through for Sam Trotter. James O'Brien maybe just not having the ability to fight that at the moment. But he does need to look in his mirrors now, because the number 9 Mustang is on the prowl. It was one position lost in one corner. Is it about to be another position loss in a few more? Piotr's looking quick. He stepped towards the inside. And is he better on the brakes? Can he keep it with James O'Brien? He is there, and I think he's going to get through. As he does, James O'Brien is fighting tooth and nail, but sort of starting to drop back in the early stages. Certainly not a quiet night tonight here on iRacing. It's definitely not short of action. Further back, this train is still going, except Marcus Taylor has been able to sort of run away. Henry Velez and Marcus Taylor have both been able to sort of run away. Oh, someone might have actually gone off there just ahead. I think maybe probably. Oh, it was the Porsche of David De Leon, who I think went wide in the carousel. It allowed these two to jump through, so they're having to recover. But it looks like the BMW and the Ford that were once leading the 5-long train have sort of stepped ahead. A brief yellow flag for James O'Brien, I think just running a bit wide there. But he's still there or thereabouts with the fight for P2. This is Stan Paternakis now charging forward on the Mustang of Mr. Paul O'Malley. Dadman GT, as he's known very well around here and around everywhere else. The the calls have sort of been, you know, dad man versus the world in certain races, but maybe Road America's not his favorite circuit. This is the man that has won the last 2 rounds as well. But definitely still in the running in 5th position. So they got to keep their eyes looking in the rear view maybe just a bit. So jump back forward to the fight for 10th. Everybody's still lined up, just, you know, 0.3 of a second behind the front bit, but no further than about a second. But Leon Vallejo making a couple of mistakes maybe in the previous corners, and it's good comeback toward them once we enter the 3rd sector. But Adi Sanabria is looking like they want that position back from Stefano Zanatti. Zanatti making up some really crucial positions early on after failing to set a valid qualifying lap. Could that have been a bit of strategy? Could it have been a little last to first? Don't know. Can't say. But it's not going to be easy for him to get away from the man in the Mercedes, the cell-shaded Mercedes, as it were. And as soon as they're coming up the hill, it's really no closer. But really importantly, they've really dashed ahead of the pack. Sort of started to spread out, and now these two are catching up to the Porsche David DeLeon. It seems that towards the front, the fight for 3rd, James O'Brien really not able to hang with these two, who are now engaging in the business of catching Sam Trotter. The gap has come down from as much as 3 seconds down to 2 seconds now. And we're still in the early phases. We're still in the first 15 minutes. Outside of the early damage-based pit stops from Anne-Marie and Nick Dawson, sort of changed the fight at the front. Nobody's really going to be thinking about going in for quite a while. As now, I said it might be coming, and it already sort of is. We have a new pack. And Henry Velez Jr. for the 2nd time is leading it. It's very on the edge. Maybe perhaps a bit over. Kicking dirt all over the circuit is the Porsche from David DeLeon. And he's really looking racy here. Really looking quick out of the kink. He's going to have to make a move around the outside into turn 12. See what he can do. Those mighty Porsche brakes. That mighty flat 6 machinery going a bit wide. But I think the move is stuck. And here's Zanatti now. Knows that there's maybe an opportunity coming. Will it be a dive into the final corner? Looking like it. Zanatti having a look alongside now, but they're not going to really get the benefit of the slipstream because David DeLeon is behind the Porsche, but at that distance, is it going to make that big of a difference? I can't really say because Javi Sanabria now is right on the back of Zanatti, maybe going to follow him through on the Mustang, but the AMG has to dive back, has to wait another moment. Zanatti up another position. David DeLeon up another position. Excuse me, David DeLeon. No, yes, up another position, the Porsche driver. Giving it the beans as now we're on the back straight again. Left, right, left. Goes Javi Sanabria in the AMG. He knows he's got the speed. Does he have the brakes? Can he make a late dive up the inside? No. Figures their better bet is holding behind. It's very wide, or it's very out of shape, rather, coming on to the traction zone. The big torquey V8 up in the front of this AMG. Doing what it does best, which is applying power to the floor. But it is very close. What has now become the fight for 8th. As we go back towards the fight at the front, it's Hickman having been dashed by Piotr in the Mustang, but still holding with him. Their fight, more good news for the AMG, or excuse me, the AMV8 driver, Sam Trotter. And as that gap was 2 seconds thereabouts a couple laps ago, and now it's back to 3 seconds. These two fighting. It's working in favor of Sam Trotter. It's working a bit in favor of James O'Brien, maybe finding himself back into the fight. And I think Zanatti might be looking for another opportunity here. The gap has sort of opened up, and I think David DeLeon ran a bit wide in the final corner, so that opened up that opportunity. V8 versus flat 6, and I think the Italian with the V8's going to have it into turn 1. See, they're all just piled up, one after the other, just behind. And I roll a dice, and you'll sort of probably get a feeling for who's going to end up where. This is Daniel Kent on the back of another Porsche, the closest of the bunch to maybe making a move. A lot of drivers sort of running a bit wide coming out of turn 5, something that is very, very easy to do. Kicking a little gravel up on to the circuit. Daniel Kent, though, he's looking quick, he's looking feisty, he's looking, dare I say it, hungry. There's more dust and dirt kicked up. The driver's eye view for the carousel. It's all about managing your right foot to find the perfect time where you can plant it again. They're all doing a great job. No more drama in the kink than what we saw on lap 1. It's still Hickman in his McLaren versus Piotr in his Mustang. And there's a certain element of you know, something that they may or may not be thinking about, but it's if they want this to turn into a fight for the lead, I think they both have the pace to catch Sam Trotter, but do they need to halt their fight just a bit? Do they need to allow Piotr, Hickman needs to allow Piotr to drive unimpeded maybe a bit? They work together, they catch up to Sam Trotter, then they resume the fight. There's a certain possibility there that might be worth a look from them, but who can say? If I was Michael Hickman, I would also be looking to overtake this Mustang because, well, he's all over the back of him now. Coming out of turn 7. One not running quite as wide as the other, as it's getting a little spicy for Vallejo Gastelum and Sanabria again out of 5. I think they swapped positions 2 or 3 times mid-corner. But the AMGs in the fight sort of falling back a bit. One after the other. Oh, is it a late move? I was thinking maybe for Leon Vallejo, but I think more of just getting in the mirrors, more of just being a general nuisance to the car ahead, trying to force a ever critical error rather than going for a genuine move. But see how it's handled between the Mercedes and the Porsche. Oh, it could go the way of... Oh, that's very, very late for Javi Sanabria, and he's into the wall, he's into the barriers. You really sent it on the brakes. Sort of see what that looked like again. And it's deep, deep, deep into the gravel, into the barrier, and hopefully not so much damage. And then later becomes a problem. Hopefully he's able to reconvene, re-enter the circuit, and keep her going, as they say, but definitely fallen back now as a result of that mistake. Maybe just put off by the AMG in the mirror and the Porsche ahead. Maybe tried for a braking move that wasn't quite there. Oh, it's very deep. It's superbly out of control for Henry Velez Jr. And talk about reaction speeds from Daniel Kent and Leon Vallejo Castellum, because that could have gone really wrong. I think it's gone a bit wrong for Stefano Zanotti. He's backwards, and he's going to spin it round at turn 5. Gonna have a look at what just happened with Henry Velez Jr. one more time, and then we'll have a look with what happened with Stefano Zanotti. You can see again, super just onto the grass and tries to hang it out, but doesn't quite. And oh, that's superb work from the other two cars not to get involved in that. And that's what we call a freebie. Now, as for Stefano Zanotti, accidentally queued it twice. That's fine. We'll see what's happened to him. The braking zone for turn 5. He comes through. He's going deep into the grass and gravel and just, I think, gives it a bit of power that well, slicks don't exactly react perfectly to being on grass. So he's around. Maybe rushed his rejoin just a bit, but that's all right. Everybody kind of doing what they need to do there. But because of those two accidents, it's sort of shaken up the field just a bit, giving drivers a couple more chances and spread the field out just a bit. But it's still Stan Paternakis on the back of Paul O'Malley. He is quite a bit closer to Henry Velez Jr. in his Mustang, feeling the need to pit now. Maybe ended up with some square tires, maybe ended up with some damage, maybe just bumped into a wall. Will Stam go for it on the brakes? Should have thought about it. I didn't think they could outbrake the Mustang at that distance. It is a surprisingly late brake for as quick as you are going into turn 5. I mean, you're really braking it sort of maybe between the 250 and the 200 board if you're braking really late. And by the time you're turning in, you really don't have a lot of time to brake later and get alongside. So it is a tricky one to do. Leon Vallejo Castellum is stationary at the exit of turn 5, but they've gotten moving again. Good for them. Oh, in the background, it's Marcus Taylor in the BMW. I saw him come out of the carousel a bit into the grass and sort of ran into the wall a bit. We'll see exactly what happened there. He's coming around, a wheel into the grass, and bang! Well, he hit it squarely enough that while the car is most certainly damaged, he was able to re-enter the track without losing a position. So I suppose it could be worse. It's still Hickman and Piotr. I'm wondering if they are, maybe either they heard me, maybe they were already doing it, but it seems like they might be working together a bit. It seems like Hickman has sort of halted his attack in order for them to catch up to Sam Trotter, which they are doing. Stefano Zanotti is now in pit lane as a result of his meeting with Barrier. But they are absolutely catching up to Sam Trotter. They're, I was going to say they're trotting up to the back of him, but that would imply they're doing it slowly. They're not. They're sort of taking lumps out of him here and there. As Leon Vallejo Castellum's going to take his pit stop. We're sort of getting into the zone of where that starts to make sense. And Nick Lawson, after his, let's call it, less than ideal race start, up a couple of positions as a result, though. They and Anne-Marie alike will have to stop before this race is over. And a bit of a commentator's curse, because just as I say he's doing well, Nick Dawson is a bit of a lazy spin coming out of turn 3, and should be out enough of the way as the 2 cars behind him aren't for position. That is these two, Paul O'Malley and Stan Paternakis. They are, or excuse me, no, that was for absolutely for position. It was 2 similarly colored cars in a slightly different order, even though, you know, whatever. I thought it was the same cars, but no. It's the AMG of Rigo Campos and the Ford of Henry Velez Jr. Both drivers that have pitted, or at least Rigo Campos did, and Henry Velez had a bit of a spin that put him back down the order. Let's check on Stan Paternakis' progress in overtaking Dadman GT, better known as Paul O'Malley. And I will say, as a reminder, Paul O'Malley is the current leader in the championship. So a driver that is absolutely one of the quick ones out there, but maybe not the quickest out today at Road America. The gap for the lead, or the gap between the leader and the 2 behind, has just come under a second. Perhaps a bit of pace management with Sam Trotter, perhaps a bit of fuel saving to extend their stint. Or it could just be that the number 9 and the number 12 just have pace. I think all of which potentially could be involved here. But as we're coming towards the halfway point in this sprint race, it's becoming a bit of fight at the top, and Piotr just sort of seems like a dog with a bone right now, because he's really picked up the pace. Michael Hickman hasn't really been outside the half-second range in a while, and he's 8/10 down. But now Piotr's going to start getting the benefit of the slipstream. He's given a flash to Sam Trotter saying, "Hey, I'm here. Hey, you've been a bit lonely for half an hour. You've had the circuit to yourself for a while. You do not have it to yourself anymore." Daniel Kent is in pit lane from 9th. Certainly in for his fuel stop, his service. Will they be taking tires? I don't know. I don't think so. But maybe, possibly, maybe. More flashes from the Mustang. The front engine fiasco that's at the front of the field, with the mid-engine McLaren close enough to, once the fight goes underway, we will be in for they got the best seat in the house, so they're in for a treat already, but they might be in with a shout of picking up the pieces. As we see, just getting closer. It's almost every corner at this point. The gap's coming down. It's sort of stabilizing a bit, but it's closer, and I wonder if the Mustang's going to be close enough to, as they come through turn 14, is there going to be enough for maybe an overtake? Oh, they're both going to pit at the same time. All three of the top three going down pit lane. Will James O'Brien go in? No, James O'Brien's going to take over the lead of this race. As sometimes there's the potential to, you know, do what the leader doesn't. If he pits, you stay out. If he stays out, you pit. But no, they're all going to do it together. They're all going to keep up the same strategy so that hopefully, as they come out, it maintains that three-way fight. As I'm curious, I gotta say, I don't know how long pit stops are, admittedly. I have a general sense in other sims. I have no sense in iRacing. This is only my third soiree in the sim, but it's Piotr. Well, no, they're pretty much all going out at the exact same time. Identical order, but Piotr almost has the run coming out of the pit exit. He is all over the back of Sam Trotter. This is a net position gate. He's being pushed onto the grass, but he's not put off at all. We're not even going to give time for the tires to come back up the temp. We're not even going to wait for things to heat back up because they're going to get done on the circuit. As Piotr just, well, he gives it a go, doesn't he? And, I'm gonna attempt, I attempted this last week, we're gonna attempt it again. Oh, whoa, that was, Sam Trotter going very deep into turn 5, and he's lost in the net second to the McLaren behind, but let's see, does it work? No. No, it doesn't. Oh, goody. I was hoping I could show off the move that just transpired, but no, we're gonna see just the end of it. Sorry about that. I tried my best. Oh, it's a bit wide for Michael Hickman, though. Now, I'm wondering, the difference in pace between Sam Trotter and the two cars ahead would lead me to believe that possibly there was a tire change in the Aston Martin. So that might be something we need to look at. It's Stam and Paul coming in as well, one after the other. James O'Brien is also in, as Anne-Marie is going to come in as well. Thought maybe that she would take over the race lead and, you know, maybe have a little bit of celebration, mid-race celebration, but no. It's the number 9 Mustang, the man with the plan, Piotr, who's going to overtake the race lead just as the pits are starting to cycle all out. See where everybody ends up, and, well, they're roughly where I expected as far as who pitted with who and who stayed out a bit later, but everybody's nice and spread out now. As a result, I'm a bit curious here. Is Anne-Marie? Nope, they are still stationary. Now they're underway. You can see Nick Dawson, excuse me, as Anne-Marie gets the flash of fury from Devin Strauch, but it's up to 11th after the lap 1 incident for the Red Bull machine. But the fight is immediately on the outlap as a brief yellow for Sam Trotter, maybe a bit of time lost for them as Anne-Marie sends it hard on the Porsche and goes a bit deep, but still manages to hold it all together. I had a feeling that might go quickly. After all, this is a driver capable of putting on the second row, capable of leading this race. So Devin Strauch maybe not fighting it too hard and maybe not expecting to hold with a bona fide esports driver. Though we do have plenty of people around here tonight that seem to have the ability to do so, and plenty of people throughout this season who are able to do so. As a reminder, this is only round 4 of this 12-round season. So if you're interested in joining, join the Discord. Check out the subsequent iRacing role, the iRacing channels. All the information is on there. I cannot give more information than that because ultimately I don't know how it all works because iRacing. But I can tell you next week we're off to Barber Motorsport Park, which is a circuit that is entirely unfamiliar to me. So that should be reasonably exciting. Sam Trotter is off again at turn 5, and what was looking like an extremely hopeful race, and for the Aston Martin driver has really gone down the pooper just a bit after the pit stops. But James O'Brien now back up onto the podium and hoping to maybe stay there. Maybe hoping to jump forward just a bit. The anime-clad Aston certainly has their work cut out for them throughout the end of this race. But Michael Hickman strikes me as a patient driver. And I'm also just noticing, might be one of the only cars sporting a GTD markings on their car. And those who are unfamiliar with IMSA as a whole, there's 2 GT3 classes, GTD and GTD Pro. GTD is sort of the Pro-Am, the Pro-Am category, or GTD Pro. It's the Pro category, it is in the name. And if you see green number plates on the side of the car and green accents on the mirrors in the wing, that means they're a Pro-Am or part of a Pro-Am team. So, I don't know, just noticed that. Thought that was interesting. I too like to run the GTD version of a livery rather than GTD Pro because I am far too slow to be even in the conversation about a GTD Pro. And Marie, though, found themselves another sparring partner as they're going to come down towards turn 1. Very defensive for Kent, so it's going to be the long way around for Anne-Marie, but just has so much greater overspeed. And is through again now. 13 odd seconds between them and another position. So now it's, well, Anne-Marie, you got 23 minutes. How much further can you climb? How much further can you recover from the lap 1 proceedings? Everyone should be done with pit stops, bar any complications regarding meetings with Barry R, our good friend, one of my best friends. Got a bit of concrete. Oh, if only Ted Edwards was here. I'm sure he's having sweet V8 powered dreams right now, as he's almost certainly asleep. And I agree, the Mustang 5.4 liter engine in this car is a masterpiece. It sounds magnificent. Everyone in the world's really excited to hear what the new Ford hypercar is going to sound like, because it is built around the engine out of a Mustang and apparently built a bit on the Mustang's chassis as well. So I'll have to wait another however long, at least another couple of months before anything about that. I think it's 2027. They said any sort of big details would come in the car, so I'll have to wait at least 8 months ultimately. But it seems that Hickman's thereabouts dropping off. They're definitely trading lap time the two at the front. But 21 minutes ago, Piotr is in really, really good steads. And I am very impressed. Because at Motorsport last week, was looking for a great result coming through the field, but just sort of started to make mistakes. Sort of started to, every time they sort of get up into a gaggle of cars, they'd clear it, and then they'd almost immediately end up facing slightly the wrong way, making a minor mistake, but none tonight. And hopefully it stays that way. Just to update you, because I also forgot to mention it at the top of the show, how we're looking in the standings of this championship. I will give you the top 10, and perhaps, hopefully, next week I'll have a little graphic that I can show on the screen. I'm a busy man. I do many broadcasts in a week, so no promises, but maybe. But for your standings after round 3 at Motorsport last week, it is Paul O'Malley at the top of the field, a 9-point gap to the driver who's currently second, which is Anne-Marie De Pasquale, followed by Michael Hickman in third with 60 points. And then, well, shall we say a bit of a gap to the drivers who are tied for fourth, James O'Brien and Marcus Taylor at 37 points. Piotr is in sixth with 34. Ted Piper, who is curiously absent, and I don't think it's curious, I can guarantee he's working and probably, possibly in a hotel room on his MacBook cheering everybody on. Devin Schroush is in 8th with 32 points. Wyatt Johnson, 9th with 26. And Daniel Kent rounds out the top 10 with 19 points. There are currently 38 drivers who are technically scored, though I think 7 or 8 of them don't actually have points to their name. But that means there are 38 potential cars that could be on this grid right now, and I take it as personal offense that there aren't more. So the 17 cars we've had out here tonight have delivered excellence. I think the race start was excellent. It's a bit of lift and coast, I heard, from the man in the Mustang. Maybe just a hair. Maybe a bit worried about... Maybe they short-filled and are now feeling the heat. As Michael Hickman is getting closer and a bit wider on the final corner. That'll cost some time down the straight. The circuit just carpeted with gravel pretty much everywhere you look. But we shall see how it all goes down. Paul O'Malley, who was leading this fight not too long ago, is fighting back towards Stan Paderakis. And I may have an insight into why, as this is a replay with Paul O'Malley just a little bit ago. Oh, that's a big incident into and out of the kink. That would be how Stan Paderakis got through. And the Dadman GT, perhaps a little bit wounded after that. It was a similar incident, maybe less severe than the one that befell Anne-Marie on lap 1. I just had a sneezing fit, for anybody who's wondering. So I apologize. Paul O'Malley now in their Mustang, really trying to come back, reassert that position, get back into the top 5. But that may take some effort, because that Mustang is certainly just a bit wounded. Michael Hickman seems to really be playing his cards right. I said earlier on, strikes me as a patient driver. Whether or not they intentionally released Piotr to put some pressure on Sam Trotter, the former race leader, or not, they are in the right position. Maybe hoping that as the race wears on, maybe they can make a move towards the end of the field. As I've realized last week I was using a lot the chopper cam, but I was curiously absent this week. And shall we see if there's no clouds? Well, there's trees, so no blimp cam again this week. Well, no, we can see briefly. The blimp cam's working. You can see those highly detailed iRacing trees and iRacing crowd and all that beautiful stuff. You can just listen close enough. You can hear engines. You can hear race cars. But enough of me entertaining myself with different camera buttons. I do have a lot. But I won't use them just yet. Actually, you know what? We're going to use this one. Ooh, that's a... Okay. I'm here for this camera angle. This is the right front suspension camera for anybody that's wondering. As the fight's really starting to heat up for the top. A bit of lifting as well for Michael Hickman that I just heard. It seems that they both may be underfueled. And they're both sort of having to Lyco their bit to victory. I'm going to stay... Maybe switch to the other side of the car, but I'm curious to hear if at all and to how much there is some lift and coast into turn 1. Yep, lifting at about the 400. So it is Lyco for them. So now we'll jump on board the Mustang. So what I'm learning tonight is basically I need to push more of these buttons, because these are good buttons. Didn't hear a whole lot of lift and coasts for the Mustang. Definitely being strategic on where and when. That is for sure. 13 minutes remain. A handful of laps to boot. And we see if I can find what I'm looking for. There it is. Just for my own sanity. How many laps are remaining? There's 6 laps remaining. As I'm thinking about it, I really could have done that math on my own. It's about a 2-minute-ish lap, so I should really know better. But the leaders are side by side for the first time in a long time. Michael Hickman's got the inside for the final corner, and I think he's just going to squeeze ahead of the Mustang, but if Piotr plays his cards right, he might be able to have it back down towards turn 1. It is a tricky thing overtaking in the final sector because you leave yourself vulnerable for attack down the straight. It's a side-by-side affair into the first corner, and I think the Mustang might get this one. Nope, they're still side-by-side. Michael Hickman sort of there. Maybe gets boxed out just a hair. Feeds back in behind the Mustang. The fight is on now. There's no more waiting around. There's no more playing it patient, hanging out in the shadows. The McLaren has now taken their brave pill. Mustang going defensive into 5. Very late on the brakes, maybe a bit put off by braking slightly in the gravel. Both going a bit wide. Piotr not leaving any space, putting the car exactly where it needs to be. You're welcome, George. I'm happy I could be here for another evening. But no, I think we're up for a heck of a fight in the final few minutes. It's sort of weird. I haven't seen them go wheel to wheel yet. They've sort of been one after the other for about 50 minutes. Piotr made a move early in the race, and it's gone that way, and Hickman has the ability to get by, but does Hickman have the ability to stay ahead? It's really getting into the final sort of moments. Not a whole lot left. You could count on arguably both hands how many chances Michael Hickman has left. He's really going aggressive into that third sector. Feels like that's where they have the advantage. And, well, I think that maybe coming on to the back straight, it might be theirs. Seems to be going board, but that Mustang is just so quick in a straight line. It doesn't seem to make the difference, but he's super late on the brakes, trying around the outside again, side by side, going down towards turn 3 again. But I think it's the same story as last time, but it's a late switchback for the McLaren. He gets alongside, and there's contact between the two. They both hold it together. There, bounces contact again. And off goes Hickman into the barrier, and Piotr does not look like he's going to be giving that one back. And that's James O'Brien through. They all held it together, but it looks like Piotr maybe turned him around. Absolutely going to watch that one back again. See if maybe a better camera could be afforded. We'll see. It's just into the rear goes the McLaren, and, well, Piotr keeps driving up to the middle. I think maybe a bit of steering damage for the McLaren. And he's into the wall. Dare I say I want to see that one more time. From the inside. Maybe a couple more times. Yep, you can see. And I think maybe a mixture of an intense moment in the race car. Maybe a mixture of some sticky iRacing netcode. They kind of, as they touched, they were straightened out, but they didn't seem to want to pull apart or be unable to pull apart. But the race for the lead ending in absolutely dramatic fashion. And I have to say, with the apparent level of damage, or a possible level of damage on that Mustang, James O'Brien might be within a shout of taking the lead here in the last couple of minutes. So we'll have to see. I will most certainly be keeping an eye on the gap. And I have a feeling that the stewards may be called about that incident we saw here one lap ago. And I'm sure they will make the right call on that. I am not a steward. I'm not even close. Though I do have a lot of opinions. And the initial contact seemed to be, from my untrained eye, it is my opinion, as I'm trained to say, that the contact was initially initiated by Michael Hickman in the McLaren into the rear quarter of the Mustang. And the second bit of contact, I can't really say for sure. It kind of looked like they both were holding their line, but one of them had to sort of be going a different direction than the other. But I don't know. I think that it's possibly going to end up being a maybe a racing incident, maybe called no further action, just because. Granted, I do not know how the stewards operate, but given that Hickman, who initiated the contact, ended up worse off, there may be no purpose in penalizing him. I don't know, but what I do know is that James O'Brien is absolutely within reach. They've got about 3 laps to go, possibly even 4. It's not going to be 4, it's going to be 3. Laps to catch and then overtake the wounded Mustang. My question is, how hard is Piotr going to fight it? How hard is he going to... I mean, he knows his car is wounded. He has eyes. He's aware of the lack of pace of their own car. That, I think he's going to fight it. I think there's few enough laps. This could still be held by Piotr, but it's going to require truly incredible car placement, a wiggle coming out of 5, and well, when you're driving wounded machinery, especially on a circuit like Road America, there's a lot of straights. So any aero damage, anything that slows you down in a straight line, you can't really do anything about that. But James O'Brien is getting really, really close now. Through the carousel, you can just see that Mustang is really not as quick as it perhaps should be. Does see that maybe James rushed it a bit, coming through the kink. Oh, a lot quicker for the Mercedes. And is he going to take the moment now? Is he going to wait? I think he's going to wait. I think that is the smart play. What James O'Brien needs to do here right now is be patient. You need to wait for a guaranteed opportunity of a move. You've got 2 more laps to do it. You are faster. Your car is working. I think the move could be coming at the end of the straight. You can see the gap is closing. It's a bit defensive. Sort of just driving up the middle of the circuit is Piotr, but we're gonna see. He's gonna wait another corner. Does not want to rush this. Does not want to make a mistake that could ruin it even further. But that Mustang is definitely on the back foot. I have to say, though, surprisingly fast down the straight. Even wounded, the Mustang's still a missile, but here comes James O'Brien. He's taking the inside away. Piotr's not going to fight it. He knows there's nothing he can do. The squabble with Michael Hickman left him vulnerable. It's James O'Brien that has taken the lead for this race. He wasn't even really a question. He was very much in third towards the end of this stage, but nowhere close to taking victory. But a gift for James O'Brien. And as long as he doesn't make an error, and I'm crossing my fingers and toes that he doesn't, because I love an underdog story, and that's what this is for James O'Brien, but he's just got to bring it home. He's got about 3.5 sectors remaining. But I think, is the good news this time, I'm gonna actually call the finish on the finishing lap. I'm prepared. I mean, Piotr's he's still close. I wouldn't say it's actually exactly over. James O'Brien maybe not moving as quickly as he would have liked in the third sector, because here comes the Mustang. on the final lap. Piotr hasn't given up. He found his moment. To the inside goes the Mustang as the white flag waves and on the brakes. Oh, it's gonna be Piotr holding it firm on James O'Brien. As I'm getting word from the man himself that the points are, well, more a reminder that the points are going to be shaken up after this race with Anne-Marie down in 7th, though it's not as bad as it could have been because Paul O'Malley's only at 4th. So it could have been worse, but James O'Brien, he's not close enough. You gotta do this. Do it for me. I think Piotr maybe he was doing fuel saving earlier. I'm wondering if he let James O'Brien through knowing that he could get ahead on the final lap. He played this to perfection. I don't even understand how that Mustang's still moving as quickly as it is. James O'Brien has one really good chance, and it's going to be coming up. He has to nail the kink. The kink is going to be everything for him. It was good, but I don't think it was great. He's really going to have to send it on the brakes, but Piotr might be expecting it. It's not going to be the late lunge. I don't think James O'Brien's going to be able to claw it back. I was so hopeful. Is it going to be final corner? Is it going to be the send to end all sends? But no. Extremely, extremely well played by the number 9 Mustang. Even with missing a couple of its toes, it still is able to take victory from the jaws of defeat. It's Piotr something or other last name who takes victory with a bit of bum draft from James O'Brien and a celebratory into Barrier for the both of them as Michael Hickman joins them and ends up the wrong way up. It's going to be Paul O'Malley who crosses the line in 4th with Stan Paterakis coming just behind. Next across the line is Marcus Taylor. Going to be followed by the Red Bull Racing Esports driver of Anne-Marie De Pasquale. Maybe a day to forget, but certainly a good recovery. Better than it could have been. And what could have been for Sam Trotter? Really seemed that there was more to give. But mistakes coming out of the pit lane cost them a 1st and dropped down to 8th. Evan Strauch crosses the line, the leading Porsche, as it were, and I can hear more crashing at in the gravel at turn 1. That is the preferred thing to do. That is the way to celebrate in sim, is you don't take your foot off the throttle and you don't give any other inputs. You just go straight into the wall. David DeLeon crosses the line in 10th. Stefano Zanatti, who is a bit behind, who had a really solid run through the field in the first half, and that spin at the exit of turn 5 costing more than perhaps the Italian would have wished. But they're going to come across the line, followed by Nick Dawson, who got collected by Anne-Marie at the very opening. Not much either of them really could have done to avoid it. But damage to their car meant that tonight wasn't their night. Road America wasn't their circuit. Daniel Kent in 13th. The host of AMGs getting together, and it was a very good race tonight. I have to freely admit. The good news is no obvious technical failings from yours truly, and I think that's worth commending. Maybe just a little bit. Commend me for doing my job half decently, except for the very beginning when I thought everything was broken, but it wasn't, and sort of freaked out of it. But that's okay. It didn't happen. But frankly, that was supremely excellent. I must say. Very, very pleased uh, at all of what we got tonight. Now, I will hang around for just a moment for a possible post race interview with the race winner. I'm not seeing anything. And I believe the Polish driver, Piotr, might be going to bed after that one. And or doesn't want to do an interview. Nobody is required, but it is always a pleasure to have somebody around. And thank you, George, for your kind words. I'm glad I was able to be here again this week. I will be here as well uh, next week as my schedule permits, obviously. But there is at least a guarantee of one other race being broadcast as a result of the generosity of the Drive Club and also the generosity of you and Mr. Ted Piper as well, who sponsored the first two rounds. Which, for anybody who is wondering what the heck I'm talking about, the reality is, as a non iRacing fella, I do not own these circuits, and I am not in the position where I can, or am in the position where I am going to spend my own money to uh, work for free. Is the honest answer? Uh, but I'm happy to be here. If it is, uh, I'm sponsored by either a driver, by a fan, by whoever. So if you're interested in doing that, feel free. Um, it does also mean that in the future, if this circuit is raced in the future and you want it broadcast, that is something you can ask for. So it's not just a one and done, possibly. But I think that's going to do it for me, unless somebody who's listening decides to quickly enter the booth. Um, it's an open invitation now. I'll give about 15 seconds, or if anybody wants to come in. But of course, thank you to all the drivers who made it happily to excuse me who made it happen this evening, because obviously without them there wouldn't be anything to watch or really talk about. I mean, it would just be me talking about nothing, which I'm more than happy to do. But another excellent race on another excellent circuit. We're heading to Barber Motorsport Park next week, and it's sure to be another barn burner of a race as this week was. Congrats to Piotr for winning the race from the jaws of almost certain defeat, and to James O'Brien, you'll get him next time. So that was excellent. That was a superb race. Lots of excellent driving. Some moments that some drivers would maybe pretend didn't happen, quite possibly. And of course, thank you to all of you who are in the chat right now, saying nice things and just viewing and liking and subscribing and doing all the things. And if you like what you see enough, head over to americasracingleague.com, join the Discord, do some racing. There's not just iRacing in store. There's Le Mans Ultimate. There's ACC for console folks. There is AMS2. And most days of the week, there is an event. Some days of the week, there are two events. So check that out. I will be back on. Oh, wait! The man himself is here. Hello! Perfect timing. I was just about to sign off, but welcome in, dude. That was a heck of a race.
I know, it was fun. That was pretty. I enjoyed that.
I have to say, I didn't think you had it in you after the contentious incident with a fellow car, but no, I think you played that to perfection.
Yeah, a little rubbing. I mean, I like to drive like that. It doesn't matter to me. What was it? I think I finished with like 0.1% of fuel remaining, so it was down to the T. I was very
Ooh.
surprised when the white flag came out. So, but it was fun to go from P6 to win this first race.
Yeah, it definitely was less of a struggle than it was last week. Us in the booth, we were cheering you on. We were watching you
Through.
march through the field, but
Thank you. Apart from me spinning it, it was a difficult track.
yes.
That was my first time driving on Canada. So also here for Road America. First practiced a little bit, but I've never actually driven so many hours on here. So
What'd you
fun track
think?
though.
I was gonna
I
say
liked
fun.
it.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was a good track. I thought it was gonna rain. I was under the assumption it was gonna rain, so I was practicing a little bit for the wet. And then I saw it was dry. I'm like, oh, okay, be more
Well,
fun then.
you'll be ready. You'll be ready for next time. Sure, there's
Was
got
it
to
wet?
be. Yeah, whenever it's wet. I don't know. Maybe Road America will be wet next time, whenever that comes back around. Who knows? But no. James gave you a run for your money at the end, and I had a feeling that when you let him through the first time, it was a. I didn't realize it was as necessary of a fuel saving decision, but I had a feeling it was like, all right, maybe he's thinking, let him through now,
It
pass him back at the start of the final lap, and then
it
hold him off.
was because I didn't know if I was gonna finish the race after the fight with Michael and him constantly pushing. I did not know if I was gonna finish, and then I sat behind James on the straights just to see if I can get a draft, and I think that's what did it. So, and then I think when he messed up on the final turn to the white flag, I saw it was like a minute 47. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be white flag, and I had one lap of fuel. So I'm like, oh, I was shocked.
The skies opened up, the white light came
Exactly.
down, shone on you, and you were like, "Well, if it's there, I'm
My
gonna
time
take it."
finally.
Yeah. No, that was a stellar drive for you, and there's plenty of people
Yep.
in the YouTube chat that are cheering you on. All right, my most important question: how do you
Uh,
say your last name? I have yet to even attempt it.
okay. So the first name you can, if you're gonna broadcast, you can say Peter. The translation is Peter.
Okay,
Um, but the last name is Shabilsky.
Shabilsky, is that
Yeah,
acceptable? All
basically,
right,
yeah.
all right,
First try, yeah, it's pretty good. But if you're gonna yeah, if you want to broadcast and make it easier for yourself, it's just Peter as the first name.
all right. I've been saying Piotr. Is that acceptable?
It's fine.
Okay.
I've had many bad butcherings
Yes,
of my
I'm
name,
I'm known for
so
butchering. I'm very
so you're
often
good.
broadcasting European leagues, so I have to
Uh-huh.
deal with a lot more names like yours, a lot of weird Eastern European stuff and Polish and Dutch names, and so I'm accustomed to trying, but
Hey,
I listen, I didn't even try. You
hey.
flummoxed me, and not many driver names have ever done that. So
Well, I'm glad I did.
but no, an excellent drive from you. Maybe following it up next week. Hopefully, we'll see any final words, any shout outs to give before you go.
I'm honestly the battles I had with the people passing were really fun. I think with Michael and the Chevrolet, well, and basically everyone drove pretty clean. Couple incidents, but it's racing. But in general, I had fun. But everyone else had fun going side by side. That's honestly the more enjoyable part of GT3 racing.
I think that's what it's all about. It is all about fun. As one of my good friends say, when the fun stops, so do you. But you won't have to stop because clearly you're having an absolute blast. And congrats one final time on the win. And is it in your head? Are you maybe thinking about a run for the championship?
I mean, there's always chance. Whoever knows, because like even this Paul, I think finished top 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
Amory didn't finish as well as I thought she would after the incident of the kink onto the back straight. I mean, anything's possible. Like my first run at Sebring was, I was very surprised if he finished third because Sebring is my favorite track. So I was very excited to race there as the first round for myself. So anything can happen. It's still a long season. Oh, but if it comes to it, yeah, totally.
awesome.
I'll go for it.
Awesome. Well, hear that, kids? Anything is possible. Believe in yourself. You can do anything. But Piotr Peter Shabilsky, however, hopefully that was good enough. Thank you for joining me.
That was good enough.
That was good enough. Yes.
Yeah, it was
You
good
hear
enough.
that, guys? Good enough. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the box, and best of luck for next week. And maybe we'll be chatting with you again.
Hopefully. Have a good night. Thank you.
Wasn't that a treat? I learned something. How to passively say their last name. So good. But yeah, no, that will end off the proceedings. Everything uh happened well. That race was absolutely stellar. Um so with that, I'm going to bring this to a close. Of course, as all I said earlier, check out America's Race League, join the Discord. If commentary might sound like your thing, if you want to give it a go, send me a DM on Discord. Be like, hey, I wanna try this comms thing. I want to hang out in the box because there's pretty much an open invitation. There is no pressure either way. No previous experience is required. I started doing this 8 months ago with no experience, and I think I'm passable at it. So maybe that could be you too. Maybe you could be passable. But anyways, thank you to all the partners who've been rolling around, and special mention to Trophy.ai, the newest partner in the bunch here at ARL. So with their help, lots of good things to come and lots of good things to continue. Be good to yourself. Stay safe. If you don't hear me later this week, or if you don't hear me on Friday, your homework is to watch some racing this weekend. There's so much going on. We got the WEC kicking off at Imola. We've got IMSA at Long Beach. We've got IndyCar at Long Beach. I'm sure there's other stuff going on as well, but that's my top three for the weekend. So I'll be nice and busy watching, racing, doing all that. So watch them racing this weekend. And thank you all so much for being here. Call your mom. I don't know. Call your grandparents. Call a friend you haven't talked to in a while. That's your other home. But anyways, I will catch you all later, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.